it's all about roses.
Yeah, roses are the #1 blooming shrub that most people buy. Of course, they buy them usually for Mother's Day because most moms love roses. So I'm going to tell you about different varieties of roses and the goods and the bads, because I like roses, but I don't grow a lot of them because they do take a little bit of maintenance and upkeep.
Really?
So this is not a plant for either one of you.
Okay, wait, I have roses that are growing and I haven't done anything to them.
This side is the good side, and we're going to talk about that.
Is it like knock something?
Yeah,
knock
these are
downs or something?
yeah, these are hedge roses. But we're going to talk first about the grandiflorus, which is what most of us think of roses. When we think of long stem cut roses, they're grandiflorus. They're just one bud, one flower, and a long stem.
I think this is what my grandmother would grow, and they were so pretty.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And then there's floribunda. Floribunda has multitude of buds on one stem, which is one of my favorites because you get a lot more color out of it. This is called iceberg, which is not quite open yet, but it's white, and this is beautiful because it just gets covered in flowers.
Where can this grow?
Okay, in full sun. They have to have good drainage. That's what roses, usually the grandifloras and stuff, like good drainage, full sun, and not a sprinkler system watering above. They like to be watered below, otherwise they get block spot. So that's the disadvantage with grandifloras. The old-fashioned roses is you have to keep them sprayed about every 4 or so weeks to make sure to prevent the fungus, the insects, and such. But luckily, there's lots of products on the market that are all 3-in-1. They're insecticide, a modicide, a fungicide, and everything. So as long as you stick with it, you're okay. But on this side, ta-da! Well, of course, growers listen to people, and they have hybridized roses to be less maintenance. And this is probably what you have in your yard.
Probably so.
You have the knockout rose.
That's what we have.
This is the light pink one, but also comes in red. The knockout rose is probably the #1 selling shrub rose because you can use it as a hedge. You don't have to really spray it. You don't usually have to fertilize it. And if you do, it helps.
Yeah, mine look pretty good right now.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, and they grow back every year. They
grow back every year. And then this one is one called Top Gun. It looks like a knockout. I'm telling you what, I planted the Top Gun in my garden. All summer long, it's covered in buds, and it's a self-cleaner, so you don't have to deadhead it all.
So wait, is this dead right here?
That was spent. That's a spent flower.
Do you pick that off?
You can, if you know, but this usually grows so fast and blooms so much it covers it. That's what's great about it. But what I use a lot of my designs, if you want a dwarf rose, a dwarf shrub that is a heavy bloomer, drift roses. Okay, coral, the darker the flower on roses, usually the tougher it is.
Okay.
That's why yellows and stuff are a little bit weaker. Let me tell you something. This baby will bloom now all the way until fall.
Really? It's gorgeous.
Full force. And it comes in coral, it comes in pink, white, yellow. So it comes in many different colors. And red, of course. We use a lot of red razorbacks and such. But again, if you fertilize about every 4 to 6 weeks with the all-purpose rose fertilizer, you will get about a 300% difference in how it blooms.
So is it smart to kind of add this into other, you know, the design of your flower beds and stuff? I just can't
mix it with some other flowers and.
Well, that's why you hire a landscape architect like blah, you keep talking about, but you don't do. But anyway.
Right.
Yes, roses. I wouldn't do a whole garden just in roses.
So
if it's going to be a landscape, mix it up. It's accent plants is what
different
you want.
Heights
different heights. But if you like roses, you can do the short one, the taller one, so on and so on.
So what are we?
Okay, we're talking about container gardening. So first we're going to start off about the container, what you want to use. First thing you want to think about material. You got terracotta clay, which happens to be one of my favorite. But remember, that absorbs the moisture. So the chances of, in the middle of the winter, if we have a really cold snap, it could freeze and expand and crack the pot. Possible. So there's also concrete, but this is glazed. And if you get a high-fired glaze, which costs just a little bit more, but when they're high-fired, they won't absorb moisture, and they'll last years and years and years outside. Now remember, there is no guarantee that winter won't crack it, but usually not. So once you determine your pot, you want to also determine the size of the container. The bigger the pot, the better, because the less you have to water it. If it's a small pot like this size, in the heat of summertime, you're probably gonna have to water it every day.
Really? Okay.
But if it was 3 times the size, probably every other day or every third day. So I always get the bigger the better if you can.
Okay.
Okay. Then you got to talk about soil. Soil is very important because it's like the foundation to a home.
Oh.
If you skimp on the foundation, even though the house is so beautiful, it can eventually collapse and fall.
Right.
If you use real inexpensive potting soil, then it clogs and gets heavy. It leaks this dark substance when you water it. So my favorite is Fertilome, is Ultimate Potting Mix. I've used everything out there, including Miracle-Gro, which has good potting soil, but the Fertilome is the best because it has nutrients. It has vermiculite, perlite, which is like that white stuff in it that lightens it up, but it's not all peat moss. To me, Miracle-Gro is a little bit more too much peat moss, too light. Anyhow, so you want to get good soil. Then remember, once you plant your plants, really you got to fertilize if you want beautiful containers to last throughout the summer. So I brought something new. This is called PR61. Oh my God.
He loves this stuff.
This is brand new. I talked about it once before, but I'm telling you, this stuff is amazing. If you do this about every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, your plants will, your neighbors are going to be so jealous of you.
Right. Yeah, you used to bring something else, but now you're like,
Miracle-Gro,
you still like it, but you are loving this right now.
Yeah, Miracle-Gro's middle number is 30. This is 58. Which is blooming power. It's like double. So yeah. And then don't forget about your plants. In the last 2 weeks, we talked about sun lovers for seasonal color and shade lovers. So you can always go back, to thv11.com and look at those segments.
Right.
But we do mixed pots already. So you always want something that's like they call the spiller that hangs over and helps soften the pot, which also shades the pot so the plant root system is not so hot in summer.
Right.
So you're not watering. And then you want an upright plant in the middle or to the side. It doesn't have to be the middle. This is big series begonias. So we got the pink and the red. We got yellow, which is my favorite color because it complements every color in the rainbow.
Okay.
And then we have the blue scaviola. This is hot sun.
Oh,
this will
gotcha.
last all summer. And then this one has the coleus in it, more begonias, and
So
this
pretty.
wonderful plant called Plectranthus.
I like that. It's just giving it some.
Yeah, and it's
Plectranthus.
kind of, and rub it. And you smell it when you rub it.
Kind of.
Smell
We
it.
smell.
Smells good.
What's it smell like?
And it has a kind of a salvia flower. Here you go.
Did I smell the right one?
Don't eat it, just smell it. Anyhow.
Can I drop that like in here?
Yeah, okay. So these come in a plastic container, and they're designed really to drop in a pot. So Adam,
drop it in
those
there.
pot. Okay.
Drop it. Drop it.
Drop it like it's hot.
No.
You're done.
Drop it in a
That's
pot.
it.
Drop it in a pot.
You don't have to plant it. You don't have to buy potting soil. You're done. And then when it looks bad, you pluck it out and you put something new in it.
But this will last through the summer,
This
right?
will last until we have a hard freeze.
Oh, okay, there you go.
And with all the rain we had, and now with the warm nights, weeds are everywhere. So I thought we'd start with what you do in your turf, and then go to your flower beds.
Great.
That is one weed I just pulled out of our flower beds here.
Yeah.
And and weeds are easy to control as long as you start early with them.
Right.
All right? First thing, if you have turf and you have existing weeds, there's two things you can do for turf. You do a pre-emerge. Pre-emerge means that prevents weeds from germinating. You want to do that at certain times of year, so you want to read the bag, and it tells you when to apply it. But if you have existing weeds, then you want to do what we call post-emergent. It kills existing weeds in your turf.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you follow those two programs, you're okay. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's probably easier to hire a chemical company because they have it all organized, and you don't touch the chemicals.
Right.
So, but when it comes to the flower beds, we actually have a pre-emerge for flower beds.
Okay.
It looks like fertilizer, and if you put it out early enough in the season, it prevents any weeds from germinating, so you don't even have to pull or spray weeds in your flower bed.
That's good. So what is a good time to do that?
Usually, weeds start germinating usually around March and April. So February is the time I go ahead and apply it for my spring
so
weeds.
It's a little late.
It's a little late now, but there's still weeds germinate every day.
Yeah.
So you can still do it. It's a little late, but then there's other products you can use. We have one called Over the Top. Awesome, because if you have weeds in your ornamental plants, your ground covers, and you can't pull it, you can spray it on selective plants. It doesn't harm the plants, just the weeds.
Oh, great.
So, and Roundup.
How does it know what's a weed
I
and what's
don't
a
know.
plant?
There's a cell. It's a cellular
science
makeup,
there.
a
Yeah.
molecule, something like that. It's a science. And then there's different products like Roundup. Now Roundup has had a bad rap, and I went to a class on it. It is actually safer to use than vinegar. So it's all how you use it. You
Right.
got to go by the directions. And Roundup comes in either a concentrate, ready to use. use, or what you got to mix with water, which I did here, or it comes in a ready to use.
Gotcha.
The concentrate is stronger. And we were talking about how you kill weeds. Now, I'm going to be honest, when I use Roundup, I make it stronger than what they say, but I'm careful how I use it. So I don't abuse it. Do not spray weed killers on a windy day.
Oh, okay.
Because it will kill anything it drifts onto. So you want to do it on a still day, and you want to do it on a day it's not going to rain. As long as it dries, you can still have your sprinkler on the next day. It doesn't wash off.
Right. And then my question a little while ago was people maybe have concerns about their pets. Can they spray this if they have pets that go in the backyard?
Yes, you can. Spray it, let it dry, and then you can let your pets out. So you should be A-okay. And there's all different types of chemicals besides Roundup, like kill-all. And kill-all means you can kill poison ivy and all those pesky vines. The key thing is sometimes it takes more than one application because sometimes the weeds are stubborn and have a big root system.
Right.
And sometimes when you're spraying, you miss areas.
Yeah.
So you always want to go the next week and spray again. You'll get it under control.
I have PTSD about weeds. I had to pull weeds out of our garden as a kid, and I can't stand weeds. I don't like plants because I got to pull the weeds. I'm sick of them.
And that is why I'm here. We have a maintenance company. Delegate it. Oh man, that was heavy.
What's wrong with this picture, Chris?
Hey,
why are you always making me do the heavy, dirty work and you're bringing in the cute flower?
Well,
light as
you
a
volunteer to help, and I've learned in life, delegate. Delegate. That's what you do.
Well, Chris H. Olsen with Botanica Gardens is here, and you've got blocks, and we're doing some kind of block garden-y thing.
Yeah, we're going to do a block garden instead of a rock garden. This is a great project because you can do it in a larger scale area. You can do it in a small area. You can do it if you're in a condo, if you're an apartment complex. Maybe you want to build a little bit of a wall that's planted in a live for privacy, or you just want to have a fun, funky garden in a contemporary way. So we have old blocks here. Some of them have chunks out of it. You can hide that behind. And we can make a little bit of a block garden, and this is just a small version. And what you do is you just stack your gardens as a wall, but you do them in different ways. One out, one in.
Like a puzzle.
Like a little bit of a puzzle. So you can move that one right there.
What?
Can you do that? You can push
You mean, I can push.
You can do it.
I thought you meant lift it.
This is what happens when you get free help. It goes this way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then you can keep going up any way you want. So this is just a small way to do it. So we're now going to plant these little pockets.
All right.
And we'll plant a couple of them. Now what I do is you can shove something in here to help hold the soil in. I kind of position them as I stack them with part of the bottom concrete blocking the way. So I take this is old sheet moss. And you just shove it in the hole like this. And
I love that.
Yeah. And then you pick different types of plants. Now you want plants that are going to be smaller root systems because this is not a big hole here.
Like a succulent plant?
Like a succulent plant, like maybe some petunias, ferns if it's a shady area. So we're going to go ahead and plant it. So we're going to take our little bit of our Echo Vera. And sometimes you need to fill it with soil. A lot of times when you shove and cram these together, you don't need any soil. So we have that like that.
Oh, you're putting more than just one, I see.
Oh, yes. Remember, what's my philosophy?
Well, I forgot.
Shove it and cram it. Okay, so we got that. And then we're going to go ahead and maybe put a smaller size petunia. That way it can cascade down the wall. And remember, we're keeping the soil.
Breeze.
Yeah, shove and cram it. And look how cute that is.
That is cute,
Then
I have to say.
If you do that to all of these, you go ahead and have a wonderful look. But
do you ever paint them?
You can paint them. That's a great idea. Bright colored. I'll even add maybe some logs or something in there, and then maybe do a smaller one here. Now, I didn't put the moss in it. But like that, you see? And you see how fun that can make it look? Make it artistic. Remember, there's no rules. It's what you like. At the end of the day, you have this beautiful planter, and it's just completely different from the usual.
Well, I think this is very clever. You just need someone really strong to move these for you.
I need you to help me bring these to my truck.
Yeah, not happening.
Riding the wave of succulent gardening. Yeah. It's like all the rage right now. Like, I've never seen some of these things.
Well, I'll tell you what, succulents, we talked about them for years, but even now they're bigger than ever, and there's more varieties than ever, probably because everyone was working from home, and of course everyone started getting more into plants. They wanted something to brighten up their home, give them a little chair. And we have all these different varieties of succulents that you cannot imagine how different they are. For example, look at this one. We call this the piggyback.
Love that one.
If you look closely, see these? Look, these are little babies.
And you pulled one off
pull
for
them off,
me.
and usually they'll start getting a little bit of roots, so they're a little bit early.
So
and you
cute.
plant them, and you can have these wonderful plants. They're
I
all
love that
type
one.
of succulents. Like this is called echovera, different echoveras. They look kind of like a cabbage in a way. Wonderful, low maintenance. This one's called shark fin. Isn't that cool? Because it looks like a shark fin. I love the texture of those. So first thing you got to do if you're going to plant a little container full of succulents is pick out the succulents that you love. Now I also mix and match. I will also sometimes add artificial air plants in there because they fill up void. You think they're real, but they're not.
I did. I thought that was
and
real.
I also love using different types of other foliage plants that require a little bit of water. And I brought some of these other different varieties that you can add to it. You love this one.
I did. It look like a Christmas tree.
This is called zigzag, and this is hard to get, but we got it at Botanica and Plantopia, and it's wonderful, easy plant to use as well. So once you decide on your plants, then you got to find your right container. Now, you can do small containers and just drop a little baby one in there. Look at this. It's a kitty cat, because we know how
I
you
want
love
that. Can I
cats.
have that?
See, I knew I'd sell something.
Got my kitty cat ring on.
You got that. We got these little hands, pots. Isn't that great?
Yes.
This one, I was the model for.
Really?
Just joking. This is like,
'Cause we
no.
did.
That was like 10 years ago. Thank you so much. Or low bowls. And if you really want to save money, even clay saucers you can do if you mound them up with plants. All right, so we're going to start off with the soil. We got cactus soil, which is light. Go ahead and pour it in there.
It sure is
Now remember,
light.
we got just a little bit.
Okay.
Because
is that good?
most of the soil will be in the pots. That's good.
Okay.
See how light that is?
Yeah,
That
it was really
drains
light.
really
The
well.
bag was light.
Now also remember, some of our containers, most of them have no holes. So you can either put a little bit of gravel if you want, or just watch the watering. Now you pick out the ones you want to use.
Well, I dig this one.
Okay, we got the zigzag.
And
So
is that one too big for this? Because I think that is
if you want to do it, we'll
fascinating.
shove and cram it in there.
All right,
Okay.
well, let's get them in there.
All right, so we just take it out. You don't have to disturb the root ball, but if it's a little bit too high,
Oh, I just think that's
see
so
how
cool.
it fills in. Then we're going to do your zigzag in there. This one doesn't have as much of a root system because they're probably more newly planted. We plant that, and then we want to do
And you can just
shorter.
put a bunch. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, remember what I say, shove and cram it full.
Well, Chris, this is very exciting. I really thought all these were fake because I've never seen these things before, and I think they're really fascinating.
Well, they're
So
easy to
thank
grow, bright light. There's books out there for you too. And if you're going to water some. This is a really cool watering thing. This is terracotta. You put your wine bottle full of water, not wine, and look, it waters them instantly.
Now,
Done.
clever. Thank you.
You're welcome.